Rain hammered against the cathedral windows as Marcus Kane stepped inside, water dripping from his charcoal overcoat. The stone walls amplified every sound, whispers, heels clicking, the organ's low hum. He wore a slate-gray suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent, crisp white shirt unbuttoned at the collar because he hated feeling trapped. He was only here because refusing would have raised questions he couldn't afford to answer. The ceremony was chaos disguised as elegance. Someone had knocked over a candelabra. The bride's mother was shouting into her phone. And then Marcus saw her. She knelt by the altar in a burgundy slip dress that clung to her like smoke, her dark curls falling loose around her shoulders as she frantically rewired a broken microphone. Her hands moved with precision, fingers stained with what looked like ink or grease. "Is that supposed to spark like that?" Marcus asked, crouching beside her. She didn't look up. "Only if you want everyone to die." Reassuring. "I don't need commentary. I need a screwdriver." Marcus pulled a multi-tool from his pocket and handed it over. Her eyes flicked to him for the first time. Green. Sharp. Suspicious. Who carries that to a wedding? Someone who expects problems. She almost smiled. Smart man. For the next hour, Marcus became her silent partner. They fixed the sound system, replaced blown fuses, and somehow stopped the flower arrangements from catching fire. She worked like someone running from something, never slowing, never explaining. "I'm Iris," she finally said as they stood in the empty kitchen, surrounded by the smell of burned coffee and sugar. "Marcus. You don't belong here, do you?" Her voice was soft but certain. Before he could answer, his phone vibrated. The message made his stomach drop. "She found you. Get out. Now." Iris was watching him. "What's wrong?" Marcus looked at her, at the way the dim light caught the silver chain around her neck, and made a decision that would ruin them both. "How fast can you run?" Marcus's apartment sat 30 floors above the city, all steel and glass and cold minimalism. Rain streaked the windows as Iris stood in the center of his living room, arms crossed over her chest. Her dress was torn at the hem, her shoes abandoned somewhere between the cathedral and his car. "You going to tell me why we just ran from a wedding like fugitives?" She turned to face him, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Marcus poured 2 glasses of bourbon, his movements deliberate. He'd removed his suit jacket, rolled his sleeves to his elbows, revealing a faded scar that ran from his wrist to his forearm. "Someone from my past. Someone I thought I'd buried." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you right now." Iris took the glass he offered, their fingers brushing. The contact sent electricity up his arm. "Then give me something else. Why did you bring me here instead of dropping me at a hotel?" Marcus met her eyes. "Because whoever's looking for me would have followed you there. Because I don't leave problems half-finished. I'm a problem now. You're a complication." She laughed, bitter and bright. "Story of my life." They sat on opposite ends of his leather couch, the space between them heavy with questions neither wanted to ask. The city lights below flickered like dying stars. 3 years ago, Iris said quietly, staring into her glass, "I testified against someone. Someone powerful. They promised me protection, a new identity, a chance to disappear." She looked at him. "But you can't really disappear, can you? They always find you." Marcus's chest tightened. "Who's looking for you? Does it matter? We're both running from ghosts." He leaned forward, close enough to see the silver flecks in her green eyes, close enough to smell the rain still caught in her hair. "Maybe we stop running." "And do what?" "Fight back." Iris held his gaze for 3 heartbeats. Then her phone lit up on the coffee table between them. Unknown number. The screen showed a single photo, the 2 of them leaving the cathedral together. Beneath it, 1 line of text, "Found you both." Morning light cut through the windows like broken glass. Marcus stood in his kitchen, black coffee in hand, watching Iris sleep on his couch. She'd changed into one of his shirts, navy blue and hanging loose on her frame. Her dark curls spilled across the cushion, and for a moment, he let himself imagine a different life. His phone buzzed. Private number. Kane. His voice was gravel. You have something I want. The voice on the other end was smooth, female, familiar in a way that made his skin crawl. Victoria. Surprised? You shouldn't be. You knew I'd come eventually. Marcus moved to the window, putting distance between himself and Iris. This doesn't involve her. The girl? Oh, Marcus. She involves herself the moment she got in your car. But here's the interesting part. Victoria's laugh was sharp. She's not just some random wedding guest, is she? Iris Chen. Former forensic accountant. The woman who buried Senator Crane's entire operation. Ice flooded Marcus's veins. Now imagine my surprise, Victoria continued, when I realized you've been protecting the very person who destroyed my business partner. Small world, isn't it? What do you want? Simple exchange. The files you stole from me 3 years ago. The ones that could put me away for life. And in return, I forget I ever saw Miss Chen. And if I refuse? Then I make one phone call, and Crane's people find her before noon. Your choice, Marcus. Your freedom or hers. The line went dead. Marcus turned. Iris stood 5 feet away, his shirt barely reaching her thighs, eyes wide with understanding. How long have you known who I am? Her voice cracked on the last word. Iris, I can explain. How? Long. Since last night. When I saw your name on your driver's license in your purse. Her hand flew to her mouth. You went through my things. I needed to know who I was protecting. Protecting? She stepped back, grabbing her torn dress from the chair. You're connected to Victoria Lang? The woman who ran money for half the criminals on the East Coast? I got out. I took her files as insurance. And you brought me here? Knowing she'd use me against you? Marcus moved toward her. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Stop. Iris's eyes filled with tears. Did you ever actually want to help me? Or was I just another asset to protect your own neck? The question hung between them like a blade. Before Marcus could answer, the door to his apartment exploded inward. 3 men in black tactical gear flooded the apartment. Marcus shoved Iris behind him, his body becoming a shield. The lead man, barrel-chested with a scar splitting his eyebrow, aimed a gun at Marcus's chest. Files. Now. They're not here. The man's smile was cruel. Then I guess we do this the hard way. He shifted his aim toward Iris. Time fractured. Marcus lunged forward, slamming into the gunman as the shot rang out. They crashed through the glass coffee table. Pain exploded across Marcus's ribs as fists connected with bone. He fought like a cornered animal, all instinct and desperation. Iris screamed his name. The second gunman grabbed her, yanking her toward the door. She twisted, driving her elbow into his throat, and he stumbled back. But the third man was already moving, grabbing her wrist, twisting until she cried out. Stop. Marcus's voice cut through the chaos. Blood ran from his split lip. Take me. Let her go, and I'll give you everything. Marcus, no. Iris's voice broke. The lead gunman hauled Marcus to his feet, pressing the gun against his temple. Smart choice. Where are they? Safety deposit box. First National. Downtown. Marcus's eyes found Iris's across the room. But you need my fingerprint and retinal scan to access it. Then let's go. The man shoved Marcus toward the door. Wait. Iris pulled free from her captor, stumbling forward. Take me instead. He's lying. I know where the real files are. Marcus's heart stopped. Iris, what are you doing? She looked at him, and everything he needed to know was written in her eyes. Senator Crane gave me copies before I testified. Insurance. They're in a storage unit under a false name. Only I know which one. You're bluffing, the gunman said. Try me. Iris lifted her chin. But if you take him, you'll never find them. He doesn't know about my backup. Nobody does. The men exchanged glances. The lead gunman lowered his weapon from Marcus's head and grabbed Iris instead. No. Marcus lunged forward, but two men held him back. You don't understand. She's lying to protect me. Iris smiled, sad and beautiful and breaking. Maybe. Or maybe you don't know me as well as you think. As they dragged her toward the door, she mouthed 3 words, trust me. Run. Then she was gone. Marcus collapsed to his knees in the wreckage of his apartment, her torn burgundy dress clutched in his fist, and made a promise to the empty air. He would burn down everyone who touched her. The warehouse stood on the edge of the industrial district, all rusted metal and broken windows. Marcus approached on foot, his charcoal coat soaked through from the rain, Victoria's files in a waterproof case under his arm. He'd spent 6 hours tracking Iris's location through the phone she'd secretly slipped into his pocket before they took her. Always 3 steps ahead. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Iris sat bound to a chair in the center of the empty space, still wearing his navy shirt, blood crusted at her temple. Victoria Lang stood behind her in a pristine white suit, a gun loose in her hand. Punctual as always, Victoria said. Let her go. You have what you want. Do I? Victoria traced the gun along Iris's shoulder. Because according to my sources, these files are encrypted. And the password is locked in that brilliant head of yours. Marcus stepped closer. The password is in the case. Release her first. I don't think so. Victoria cocked the gun. But I'll give you a choice. The password, or I put a bullet in her knee. You have 3 seconds. 1, Iris said suddenly, her voice steady despite the terror in her eyes. Marcus froze. 2. Her gaze locked with his. 3. 7. 9. 4. That's the password. Victoria's smile widened. Well. Looks like I don't need either of you anymore. She raised the gun toward Iris's head. Marcus threw the case. It sailed through the air, striking Victoria's arm. The gun fired, the shot going wide, and Marcus was already moving. He hit Victoria like a freight train, slamming her into the concrete floor. The gun skittered away. Behind them, Iris worked her bound wrists against the chair, the zip ties cutting into her skin until blood made them slippery enough to pull free. She grabbed the gun just as Victoria's men burst through the side door. Federal agents. Hands up. The warehouse flooded with FBI. Tactical lights. Shouting. Victoria screamed as they dragged her away in handcuffs. Marcus stood slowly, hands raised, watching Iris lower the gun. An agent in a windbreaker approached her. Good work, Agent Chen. We got everything on wire. Marcus's world tilted. Agent? Iris met his eyes across the space between them. I never left the bureau. The testimony, the protection program, all of it was a cover. I've been undercover for 2 years, building a case against Victoria and everyone she works with. She swallowed hard. Including you. So everything was a lie. Not everything. Her voice cracked. But enough. The agents moved to cuff Marcus. He didn't resist. As they led him past Iris, she grabbed his arm. "The files you gave them," she whispered. "I swapped them. The real ones are still hidden. You have 48 hours to disappear before anyone figures it out." Marcus stared at her. "Why?" "Because you chose to save me. Twice. And because some debts can't be repaid in courtrooms." Tears streaked her face. "Run, Marcus. And don't look back." The agents pulled him away. At the warehouse door, Marcus turned one last time. Iris stood in the center of the empty space, still wearing his shirt, her dark curls wild around her face, and he understood. Some sacrifices weren't about redemption. They were about recognizing the person you could have been, standing right in front of you, making the choice you couldn't. Marcus disappeared into the rain. And Iris Chen went home alone, carrying the weight of a man she'd saved and a love she'd destroyed, knowing she'd made the right choice even as it shattered her completely. The end.